What is going on, everybody? Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the maybe first of many, hopefully, conspiracy theory streams. I know this is After Sound Gaming, but we will not be talking about any games tonight. So just to level set for all the people here who are probably thinking we're going to talk about conspiracy theories and Splinterlands. No. We're going to get into the deep stuff, into the good stuff. And I got two amazing gentlemen who are going to help guide the conversation here with all of the things that they've been telling me about. So big welcome to Darkestnyte and Walkingkeys. Why don't we go in that order? Darkestnyte, how is your night going, man?
Hey, it's going well, man. I'm ready to get deep into the conspiracy theories. It's funny how this happened, right? So my son was watching the Senate hearings on UFOs, and he calls me up and he goes, Dad, can I ask your opinion about something? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, hey, I want to know what you think about aliens. And I was like, really? We're going to do this? And so we just went down the rabbit hole. We talked about alien weapons and can we defend her? I mean, we were on the phone for an hour. And then I called you and I said, dude, check out the conversation I just had with my son. And then we were on the phone for like an hour.
We went down the rabbit hole too.
And
then at some point you were just like, didn't we say we're going to do a conspiracy theory stream? This was yesterday. I was like, what are you doing tomorrow night?
Yep. And here we are.
Here we are. Walkingkeys, man. It's always good to chat with you, my friend. How are you?
Man, I am fantastic. I'm happy to be here. I had no idea this was a conspiracy theory. I thought we were talking about Splinterlands. I don't believe in any conspiracies, so I must be the skeptic here, and I'm glad to take that role.
I'm gonna say
that's all a lie, by the way.
I'm gonna say that's a damn lie because from what I heard, you did find out this is a conspiracy theory stream. You ended your vacation early, ran home so that you could.
I first of all, I don't run anywhere after sound. Okay,
fair enough.
No, I'm happy to be here. I love conspiracies. I think they're it's just a lot of fun, I think, because there's no way to really prove any of that stuff. It's not like we're going to discover something that hasn't, that someone else hasn't. But I love talking about it because I think it's obvious that, this world isn't necessarily what it seems.
Exactly. So this is a good point to bring up for any YouTube moderators out there that are thinking about flagging this as misinformation. We're just having fun, right? So
yes, we are not experts.
Yeah, we are not experts on anything. We're just having fun. But all disclaimers aside, let me go through and say hi to the folks in the chat, and then we're gonna jump right in because I know that there's several specific ones you guys wanted to talk about, and then we can see just how deep the rabbit hole goes from there. So we got State of Survival. What's going on? Gaming, Leandro, People's Guild in the house. People Guild, love the podcast, man. Adjusting my tinfoil hat. All right, go. I'm glad you got yours. I got mine too. So we're ready to go. I think Splinterlands is run by lizard people. Oh, we can go.
Lizard people.
What's going on,
like hecklefish there?
He's asking if we've taken the red pill, not the blue pill. So yes, we're all buckled up. Mrs. Crypto Panda and Mr. Panda, how are you guys? Virus as well. Liverpool.
Yo, the pandas are here.
The pandas are here, man. The pandas.
I haven't talked to them in forever.
Oh man, well you should catch up.
Oh, the pandas.
Good people. All right, yes, Virus. We're hoping that this is gonna be a fun one too, man. We're all just hanging out and having a good time. I like my favorite Martian when I was a kid.
Boom, stop jockeying.
And I would suggest anybody that has their favorite conspiracy theory, drop it in the chat if we can.
I mean, this will be. We'll make this as interactive as we can. So, Fat Jimmy, what's going on, Fat Jimmy? Good to see you here.
And sorry about that beat down early. Oh, we're not supposed to say that. Never mind.
Oh yeah. No Splinterlands talk. I mean, what? Okay, so we already have our first audience request. What do you think of the Tartaria theory?
Ooh, I don't know that one. Do you know that one, Keys? You're looking it up. Yeah,
go. I'm not looking it up. I was actually no Tartaria.
I haven't heard of it.
Maybe,
either.
But not by that name.
Ooh, we got Tales from the Cryptmancer.
Yeah, wow. I mean, that was a great way to start it by us not knowing anything.
I know, right?
Yeah. Well, but we're gonna hit ones that we do like. So,
hello, crypto boys and aliens. Welcome to the stream. Yeah. All right, let's go. Lunacy System, what's going on, everybody? Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and jump into this. I would flip a coin, but I know you each brought something. So why don't you guys figure out who wants to go first? Because I think
go first, Keys.
all right, Keys, you brought a couple.
What am I doing?
So what's your favorite? What's your favorite conspiracy theory?
Conspiracy theory.
Ooh, I mean that's a good one. I mean I have to go in this order: pyramids, JFK, and moon.
The moon landing was faked.
I honestly have no idea. I personally.
Oh no, I'm saying
idea.
is that what the conspiracy theory about the moon is? That it was
that
fake?
Yeah, a lot of it, yeah.
Or that the moon isn't real.
No. I think
just a really big light bulb.
I would expand it beyond just like if we went there or not to just the moon. The moon itself is one of the most. It's the craziest thing in our daily lives. Like that thing in and of itself maintains existence on our Earth, and there are historical, stories and stuff where people have said that there was a time before the moon, and so it does. It's in perfect ratio. It has a perfect circular orbit. It doesn't have an elliptical orbit like the Earth. It allows itself to be the same ratio of distance from us and to the sun. I mean, it's really crazy, like how many things line up in that body, which shouldn't exist. Like the oil, the soil of the moon on the surface is older than the soil the further you dig down, which is crazy to me. The whole thing is just. I don't want to. I'm done. But,
no, we're gonna definitely have to prove that one.
Yeah, we're just getting started.
Yeah.
Wait, what
we're not going to get a whole lot of proof from me here, Darkestnyte.
So you said pyramids were number one.
Yeah, for sure.
And then
ancient history. Ancient history. Like prehistory to our history.
All right. Do you want to elaborate any further, or Darkestnyte, you want to go?
No, so I'll just say what my first are, because I think so I guess we're going to be talking about the moon tonight for sure. So my first is hollow earth theory, right? Okay. And then my second is hollow moon theory. And so if we were going to flip a coin, the chances are good that we're going to be talking about the moon tonight. So all right, so let's start with this. All right, so we have two theories about the moon, right? So one is whether or not we landed on the moon. So Project Capricorn, I think is what they call it. And then for me, it's going to be, is the moon hollow or not? And I think in both, we can talk about some of the history or theories about the times before the moon. Because there are a lot of stories across multiple cultures that say, hey, the moon was artificially placed in orbit. So
I've never heard that.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like across a lot of like ancient civilizations.
Yeah. Not even so ancient.
And they're in like cultural creation stories, and all the creation stories have people that created them. So they're from that pre-time.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like pre-flood, basically.
Right.
So Darkestnyte, yesterday you sent me like the Y-Files video about, I forgot his name now, but I thought that's where we were gonna go with like it being like an alien moon base or something.
Right, but that's the thing too, right? So because that goes part of Walkingkeys. So the first theory is one that the moon is hollow, and the reason why we think that, well, it actually goes back to H.G. Wells, right? So he was the one that said, oh, the moon is hollow, and he started writing stories about it, right? And I think he did one that was called The First Men in the Moon. And then, of course, we kind of took it from there. But during the supposed moon landings, right, they landed or they crashed one of the lunar landers into the moon. And they say that it rang like a bell. So obviously, if something rings like a bell, you think it's hollow. But there's also other reasons for that. So,
okay.
I can also verify that I have had the same research in my studies, is that there were two actual things that have been dropped on the moon. One was much smaller, and it reverberated for about 2 to 3 hours, which was very, very unique. So they're like, something's going on here. So they dropped something much bigger, and it rang for like a day and a half. So it means that, like, scientifically, it means that the Earth is that the moon is either it's not as dense as they thought it was. That's
Mhm.
number one. So it either has to have like some type of channels or something like large gaps of space, or that it is hollow to some degree. But I will say one caveat here: every crater on the moon, none of them go past a certain depth, regardless of how wide they are. Like if you look at moon pictures, you can see how all the craters look like they're the same depth, but the diameter of the actual craters, they all vary because of different things that have hit them over time.
Yeah.
But they never go past a certain depth, which is something I find very interesting.
So
All right,
the theory around that is.
Can I just get Roguepatton on real quick?
Yeah,
We got a
absolutely.
special guest. So
Oh,
what's up, man? Oh,
okay.
sorry, I got him while he was drinking water.
What's up,
What's up, brother?
Roguepatton?
Sorry, Roguepatton. Darkestnyte, go ahead and finish your thought, man. I just wanted to get him on here.
Yeah, yeah, so the theory around that is the reason why that is, and this is just the theory. I don't know that I buy into the theory, right? But the theory around that is that nothing, it can't penetrate the outer layer of soil because it's hitting the hull of a ship, right? So, or some sort of structure that prevents it from going down.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. But I suspect, right, it's the high amount of titanium, right? Titanium is pretty prolific on the moon, so it might absorb some of that energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Rogue, man, you got to do your intro.
Yeah, man. How are you?
I'm doing awesome, guys. Thank you very much for the invite. This is I was actually looking forward to this all day, baby.
I'll tell you, man, Darkest. So I posted it on Twitter, and I was just like, "Yeah, what's your favorite conspiracy theories?" And I was surprised at the amount of people who like responded. And Rogue was one of them. And he's like, "Wait, when's this happening?" And I was like, "Tomorrow night. You want to jump in?" He's like, "Count me in." I was like, "Let's go."
Straight up, dude. It's part of the Great Awakening, and that's the beautiful part about it is you don't know who all knows or like who all's like thinking about things in a certain way anymore, and it takes stuff like this, moments like this, where people start to like think about it, and you're like, oh, that dude is crazy. Cool. All right. You're like, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But you have to have fun with it, right? That's the thing.
Exactly.
So after sound, you went through a list with me earlier today. Can you read through the list of just all the different conspiracy theories that we got?
Oh, that was just a random article that I pulled up, but
I mean the ones from the chat, right? The ones from.
Oh, yeah, sure. I can go through. Hold on. I was just going through the Twitter replies to that tweet, so let me go see.
It was pretty interesting.
I mean, so here we can go, I'm sure, super deep into the moon, but unlike those
questions.
craters. But but my question is, do we want to transition to aliens since that's the hot topic right now?
You know what?
Okay, but oh, sorry, what's that?
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah.
Okay, so here, let me read through. So this is Roguepatton, actually. Roguepatton was talking about Antarctica and flat, hollow Earth talks.
Oh, that's me.
So I don't know what Antarctica is, but we'll have to jump into that.
Yep.
Infidel, so Dwayne Cunningham said advanced civilization constructed the Great Pyramids with tech we have forgotten. I'm always fascinated by ancient
I'm in the same boat with Infidel there. Of all the ones that I believe that are out there, that's the only one that I'm like sold on. Like, that's a fact. Not JFK, but that one's a fact.
Oh, JFK is another one. That'd be interesting, especially because, well, we don't need to get into the politics,
events.
but his nephew's running now, so I feel like all the talk about JFK is coming back. All right, the pyramid was actually a power plant. Honestly, so much makes sense with this model. You look into the chemistry. I don't know if I've heard of that one before. Hewitt said all the folks killed by the CIA, FBI, and religious groups in the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
MK
And aliens aren't. Oh, here's one. Darkestnyte, you and I were didn't know yesterday, but aliens aren't a conspiracy when you consider the Drake equation. And then the Sphinx with Randall Carlson is cool too.
Yeah. So for me,
Hewitt.
so my counter to the Drake equation was the Fermi paradox, right? If there is.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Right. Why do we not see them? That's the big question, right? So where are they all? So.
Ooh. All right. So here, let's see. Do we want to move on from the moon?
When it comes to aliens, I do want to say it's either I do like the theory. You know, there are either a ton of civilizations out there, or there are none, and both are as frightening.
Yeah.
You know, because if there are none, that means they have destroyed themselves. Every civilization that has risen to a level has destroyed themselves.
So,
you know, because it's impossible that life only exists here. Like that's just impossible.
I agree with that too. I think the universe is too infinite for it to only happen once.
Well,
But
I don't
Rogue,
think
Rogue, it sounds
intelligent
like you
life
disagree.
is necessarily possible. I just think life itself is possible in other places.
Sure.
Go ahead. I want to hear you, Rogue. What's happening, brother? It's good to see you, man.
This is the beautiful part about the conspiracy theories, right? And this is it just, what is the lie and what is the truth, right? Because I spent a lot of time thinking about space and the other worlds and everything that exists. But one of the big things that everybody's kind of on right now is the flat earth theory, right? And the fake moon landing, nothing's really in space, blah blah blah, it's like a dome. Then you get into like multi-dimensional like existence, hollow earth, like stuff like that. So it's like the existence of others can still be, but here also on Earth, or the plane of Earth, or like a different dimension, like not through space travel, Star Trek, stuff like that. It's more like dimensional Stargate existence, like, so like Earth, like, that's where, so yeah, that's where it's like in my head, like I've had to really just like open up quite a bit, and I'm like, is it really? Because like, yeah, I'm with you. I do believe there's a lot more than just humans, but now I'm starting to think of like, okay, where are they? How did they get here? What is my plane of existence? All of this stuff. So yeah, that's the. But yeah, I'm
the
so
multiverse.
Oh, dude, all the. I think Marvel is like the biggest. It's like not exactly science fiction. It's more of like just feeding you the truth a little bit at a time.
Well,
science fact.
Yeah, it's just...
So
All right,
that's the thing,
art
right?
imitates life.
Right. So that's the question, I think, After Sound, you asked me is, and I think Walkingkeys, we talked about this too. Why do the Senate hearings now about UFOs, right?
Well, actually, I want to highlight a quick comment for that, because I know I said we're not going to talk spoon on that stuff, but I have the answer. The UFO stuff is all fake and just to keep us distracted from how long land is taking.
Nice.
Dude.
I think
That's
that,
the rule, man.
I think that Shark is more right than he knows.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So you were saying Darkestnyte? Sorry,
so.
I cut you off.
Yeah. So I mean, the question is, why did we have the Senate hearings now? And I know we've done them in the past before, right? But this one got a lot of validation from government officials, supposedly. And I think they said a lot, right? I still haven't watched it all, but they said a lot. But again, like, where's the proof, right? If you're going to go through all the effort of having Senate hearings and calling people to testify and things like that, don't you think they would bring just a shred of proof with them? And they didn't, right? It's just more kind of distraction.
It was
and
under
more...
oath.
What's that?
It was under
Okay,
oath.
so we've never seen people lie under oath before?
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that's the progression, like, how you read Cradle, right? Darkestnyte. And so when Jai Long was attacking the Jai clan, he knew what to expect. They were going to send this first and this to stop him and this to stop him. So the next step is you have a government official release the information, right? And then the next step is to have it under oath. Then there's another step beyond that, and then it continues. I'm not saying this is the case, but if it was a distraction technique, this would be the next logical step. It wouldn't. It's not out of character.
So is your hypothesis, right, that the whole purpose of all of the UFO talk and alien talk is just to distract us, or is there some other reason?
It's not. It's not necessarily what I believe, because I just, at this point, I think it's harder to trust media in general than it is ever in history. So whatever they're saying, I'm not listening.
Well, in this, in kind of to his point, I think what he's kind of alluding to is Project Bluebeam. So Project Bluebeam is supposed to be, the essentially the fake disclosure
Yep.
You know, it's not the real disclosure. It would be like a fake disclosure used to essentially drive fear and cooperation into, you know, the society, into, you know, like we have to do XYZ things because now we live in a world with aliens. This is where we're at, you know, aliens, you know, and it's so then it goes into a lot of the technologies that we have nowadays with deep fakes and holograms and, you know, all of these things. Like there's already been, and that's really conspiracy theory wise, that's essentially where you really just start getting back into is like, was the moon landing real? Was all of this real? Blah, blah, blah. Like that's really like the biggest pill to swallow is can the people in power create an event and make it real enough that you think it was authentic? And there's historical evidence that yes, they can, and that they will. And so that's the theory of Project Bluebeam. Is that
essentially it's going to be like a false flag alien attack?
Yeah. Exactly.
It culminates in a simulated attack to generate a global unity towards
exactly
like an outside threat.
You know, kind of like COVID.
Yep. So
yeah, I've never heard that before, but that makes a lot of sense actually.
Right.
Kinda
so
like
I would say over the last 2 years, I've heard more about the dark forest theory or hypothesis than I ever have before in all the years of sci-fi and physics and quantum physics and all that. And what the dark forest hypothesis says is that we live in a hostile universe, right? And you want to be really, man, you're chugging that vodka, bro. Whoa. I know.
Where's yours, Darkestnyte?
Man, where's my bottle? So
it's like Independence Day.
Yeah, but what the dark forest hypothesis says is that we live in a very hostile universe and you want to be very quiet.
Yeah, which
right?
we're not, right? We're just sending
Which we're not, right? We're sending signals all over the place. And because of the hypothesis says that anyone that you come across is most likely going to view you as a threat.
Yeah.
And you want to do to them before they do to you. Right. And there are a whole series of books about the dark forest hypothesis. Actually, I just started reading the 3-body problem, which is basically a really good interpretation of that. So
what was your broader point in saying that you've started hearing this dark forest theory a lot more? Is it just the fact that it's becoming more mainstream?
So if you look at aliens in the past, right? I think like starting in the 60s, really hardcore in the 60s, right? We had Star Trek, we had Star Wars, we had Close Encounters of the Third Kind. The aliens were all friendly, right? In most cases, right? E.T., even AI, right, was very friendly. But now we see this narrative that says, okay, we got you to believe in aliens. Like pretty much the whole world believes in aliens, right? Whether or not they've seen them, they believe in them. But now there's this narrative that says, okay, they're not friendly aliens, they're potentially hostile, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I get that.
Well, I mean, I would counter a little. I mean, Attack from Mars was a radio show. I think it was Attack from Mars. It was a radio show that was done in like the 50s, and people freaked out thinking it was real.
Yeah,
like
so War of the Worlds.
Yeah, War of the no. Oh, yeah, was that which one? And then there was a movie Attack from Mars. Yeah. So all that. I mean, there was definitely fear at that point, and I think.
But I feel like Mars Attacks was like a comedy too, wasn't it?
No, you're thinking.
Mars Attacks. You think about
Mars?
I don't think about Mars Attacks. I don't know
Attack
from Mars.
Not the one in the 90s. It was a remake of
Dude,
an old
that movie
one.
freaked me out growing up. I hated that one. Hated that.
Okay.
I knew it was a comedy, but man, little kid me didn't know. It was just that thing came on the TV and he's like, "Bow, bow, 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 bow."
So that was
like, oh, no.
Yeah. So that was H.G. Wells again, right? So he's always at the heart of a lot of the stuff, right? So he did a radio show that said it's just a radio show, right? But the United States, people in the United States thought we were being attacked. And then Orson Welles, I think his son or his nephew, did it again, right? And If you guys all remember V, right? V was, I think, a really good transition from, we have these beneficent aliens, but all of a sudden they have a hidden agenda and they were eating people, right? And that was a big shock back during the 80s, right? Like the big reveal back then. So
okay, to take a step back from all this then, because
it's getting
alien invasions.
Huh? Oh,
Alien
writing
invasions. Yeah,
any of
let's
this down.
step back.
There's so many like just keywords. I gotta like, I'm like Dark Forest. I'm like over here like, okay, what's this? What's this?
Hey man, you learn a lot.
I know this
Talk to
much.
Darkestnyte Walkingkeys. That's, I'll tell you that. I'm always googling stuff whenever I'm talking to him. Okay, so to take a step back from like the hearings is what I'm saying.
Yep.
What are your thoughts? And this might be going deeper down the rabbit hole. Even if the hearings are fake now, with all of the sightings and random things, Roswell, all of that, is it even in the realm of your possibility, right? Each of you individually, that we have been visited as recently as last 60 years ago, or as far back as ancient civilizations? Like, how do you view that? And again, there's no, you can't prove it, so I'm not asking you to say like what you believe, but I'm just, what are the ideas that you entertain? And I don't know.
Let's go around the horn. I mean, start. Rogue, what do you think?
Been here for a real long time and actively participating in our existence.
For what reason?
It depends on which ones we're talking about.
That's
the conspiracy theory stream, right? You can't be like, leave it like that, man.
So yeah, I guess in theory there are many different species of extraterrestrials, aliens, other things, non-human, that are, you know, in our presence regularly, and some are bad and some are good. And that's I mean, realistically, and that's the way that I look at it is it's just the same battle of good and evil. It's just there's a lot more pieces on the board than we think. You know, it's the same battle, it's the same,
but just invisible to us, or
it's just beyond our understanding, beyond our, you know, also it's beyond our understanding, but then yes, also beyond our general perception at the moment, right? So yes, they're not able to be amongst us regularly, or else we get spooked. You know, it's not time for them to be around regularly yet, essentially.
What about you, Keys?
I gotta be honest, I have no idea.
Dude, none of us do.
I feel
like you've been super careful this entire stream, Keys.
I definitely
this is just whatever ideas you entertain, man.
All right. Well, here's where I lean.
Thought that was the like prelude. Like, we didn't know what was happening. This is us talking
so
about
the Greys are coming, and we're all doomed. No,
the Greys.
I definitely. I have a hard time believing an alien species would really give a shit about our opinions. Like I don't see why they would hide. They don't have a purpose in that. I can't rationalize that.
Sure.
Unless I just don't see it. So anything that is out of the ordinary, flying stuff that is ours, or, you know, I think it is terrestrial. I think it's from us in some capacity, in some way. There could be, I mean, I have an easier time believing that there's civilizations on Earth that we haven't discovered, that are remaining hidden because of what they enjoy, the life they enjoy, which would be ruined by us.
Wait, so like just like a Wakanda type situation, or like
Atlantis,
Wakanda, Atlantis, Antarctica. You know, there's giant lakes in the ocean. Like there's giant hollow sections of the earth. You know, Shambhala. You know, there's so many different things that just could be there that I have an easier time thinking that that's possible than other aliens that are just trying to stay hidden so we don't see them. Like if an alien's come here, we're done. We're just done.
Yeah.
I mean, they're here for water or something, and that's it. They don't give it.
You know, one of my favorite things, and it's interesting because this has been applied now to AI in a sense, where it's just like an advanced civilization or an advanced intelligence would look at us as the same relationship we have to an ant, right? So they would, as you said, they wouldn't really care. If anything, they would be paving our entire solar system to build a new alien mall, right? Like they just wouldn't care about us at all. What about you,
like
Darkestnyte?
Ender's Game.
So I'm closer to Walkingkeys on this one. So unless we're completely wrong about the theory of relativity, speed of light is the speed limit, right? The amount of energy it would take to get here, regardless of how advanced your civilization is, just wouldn't be worth the trip, right? So I would tend to believe that, and again, I think Roguepatton, you made a reaction to the Greys, right? If you look at Greys, right, I mean, they're pretty much humanoid, right? They got fingers, they got eyes, they're bipedal, they're just short humans with big eyes. I would tend to believe that if we combine ancient human civilizations with Hollow Earth, that would be a much more likely scenario, right? That these are just humans that have evolved along a different path. And they just live underground, right? And if you look at a Gray, right, they have no color, they have big eyes to absorb as much light as they can, no hair because they don't need it, right? So if you look at just evolution, additionally,
God, if I evolve into that, kill me now.
well, I mean, hey, then don't go live underground, bro. Don't go live underground. So, but again, if you look at just what we know now, right? We had the Hubble for about, for a couple of decades. Now we got the James Webb. When we look out into space, we're literally looking through time. And if somebody wanted to come here, we didn't even exist. The planet didn't pretty much exist in its current format or form to come here and say, hey, we're going to interact with humans. Like, we've only been around for, 1.5 million years or so at best. Mm-hmm. And in our current state, about, 20, 30,000. So there's nothing here. I would say I agree with the Keys, right? There's nothing here worth coming for. Now, that said, if I could think of a reason why they would come here, is probably due to a perceived relationship with a greater being. One of the things almost all of us have on this planet is some sort of religion, right? And again, I mean, very few don't believe in any religion, right? But we all do. And I could almost imagine hearing the I don't know, just the galactic or intergalactic telephone lines ringing saying, oh my God, the humans found God. Let's go check it out. Right? I mean, I would think be one of the reasons why they would come, right? Because of this perceived connection that we think we have. They may not have that. Hell,
it's like a Jurassic Park. They're just coming to watch us.
That's coming to watch, right? Or they may just come in and get the best jokes from Walkingkeys. I don't know.
They made a mistake.
Right.
They're just in the chat right now, writing this down.
They're only here on Mondays and Thursday evenings for that live stream.
Well, and there we go, right? And so now, and they said, "Oh, it's not Walk." Hey, you're probably asking right now, "Where's Gang?" Right?
So Darkestnyte, to your point though, and Rogue, I'm not completely in the category that there are no aliens, because I do feel like we know very little about Mars, and I do want to throw this out there. There's an asteroid belt, a very large asteroid belt between us and Mars. Something existed there at some point. That's why that asteroid belt's there.
Isn't it between Mars and Jupiter?
Or maybe it's between Mars and Mars and Jupiter. Yeah,
but I've heard that before. It could have been a planet at some point, right?
It could have been something, yeah. And then we've seen things on Mars that, like that face on Mars, and then then they take another picture of it and it's completely different. Like, there's a lot of questions about Mars. We found life on the planet. We found water. We found evidence of water. So it does make sense to me that if that planet was dying, that they would travel here, and there may be a contingent out there watching from the moon or something from somewhere, just making sure we're staying on track or whatever. But still, wild theory. But that's still possible in my mind.
That'd be interesting. Yeah. So, like, you're saying civilization on Mars advanced so rapidly that they were able to do space travel to come here well before we did, even though our planet has a much more ideal ecosystem for life. As
That
we know
one
it.
may have, and then they brought the moon, and I mean, literally brought the moon from Mars, placed it in our solar system to balance our atmosphere, and then set up shop here.
See, I would tend to go the other way, right? I would say not Mars, I would go Venus, right? Because Venus is a runaway greenhouse effect. I mean, we're literally doing that now to our planet, right? So, and think about it, we're looking about going further out to Mars to escape what we're doing here, right? So I would say it is much more likely that Venus looked very Earth-like a few billion years ago. Right? Maybe not even that long ago, right? Maybe 500 million years ago. Just long enough for us to evolve from there to here.
It's like we just picked up, moved, crash landed, and started over.
And dude, that's our thing, man. What do we do?
Down the
What
line.
do we do when we mess something up? We move.
Yeah, let somebody else
We
deal
get
with
out
it.
of Dodge, man. We're out of here.
Interesting. Okay, fair enough. Well, you hear all the talk about like climate change now and the atmosphere and all that, and you think, I mean, I don't know. I'm not an expert on Venus, but I know that isn't their atmosphere like super gaseous or whatever and like toxic?
It's mostly carbon dioxide, right? And it's lots of sulfuric acid, lots of volcanic effects and things like that. So it's a very active planet. But what makes Venus dangerous is the amount of pressure. The atmosphere is so thick that it creates a lot of pressure.
Gotcha.
But it wasn't always like that, right?
Yeah, you want to talk about
Wasn't-
conspiracy theories?
Let's go,
Let's
Rogue.
go, man. Let's go.
Climate change.
Oh, let's do it, man.
I don't
Probably
think
not.
that one is allowed to be discussed on.
Oh, that's
on YouTube. Yeah,
That's
probably
that's
not.
gonna get political.
Active. There you go. See,
We have to
everything
talk about
conspiracy
things that
theory
are
is
over
political.
60 years old.
Okay, so,
Well, fine, JFK.
Bigfoot or no Bigfoot? Yes or no?
Oh, I'm sure somewhere.
Keys, Bigfoot?
I mean, I've never seen one.
I gotta
Loch
go
Ness
check on my
Monster?
kids. They just got here.
What?
They're screaming like.
Loch
be
Ness
right back.
Monster?
If it's Bigfoot, get a video.
Oh, he's like, hey, we're not going to talk about climate change. We're out of here.
No, he said his kids are.
I know. Just messing around.
Saying I'm being told
Yep.
not to fall for the climate change nonsense.
Oh, that must be Liberty guy. It was, right?
Yeah. All right, hold on. Can we just take a moment to go back through the comments? Sorry, guys. We've gotten
absolutely.
super deep into chat. We won't be able to get to everyone.
There's
but
something about the moon up there too that I like.
yeah. Let
there's
me
a
just
bunch
go
of
back,
guys.
and we're gonna try and get try and catch as much as
Or
we
how
can.
about we handle
here.
some questions from them about whatever they want to talk about?
Well,
See
that's what I'm trying to get. That's what I'm trying to get here. Ghostly BG, what's up? Chemtrails, Harp,
Harp.
Reptilians.
Oh, Harp.
Give me another one.
I like. And I
Rip says,
think
thanks, guys, for
maybe
doing this.
if chemtrails could be real, then HARP could be linked to that.
Absolutely.
That'd be
Oh, what's
interesting.
going on, Brand Talk? We haven't talked in a minute, man. How are you?
Oh, we got tinfoil hats. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Who was the first man to walk on the moon? Was it Neil Armstrong or his cameraman?
I do want to say this about the moon. Have you all seen the press conference of the 3 astronauts that went to the moon and the press conference after they came back?
I did not.
They look more depressed
Yeah.
and devastated. I mean, it looks like, honestly, they just came from a funeral. Like, I'm not lying to you. It's the strangest thing I've ever seen.
So what's the analysis there? Why would they be depressed? What's the speculation?
I mean,
They saw something or witnessed something that was
Or-
life-changing.
or they didn't go, and
Oh.
they're being heralded as heroes, and they got to talk about it,
Mhm.
and they didn't go, or they went to space, but they didn't go to.
Go to the moon.
I mean, I still don't understand how they got past the Van Allen radiation belt. That one confuses. Like, I don't know how they got there. And then NASA saying they've lost the knowledge to go to the moon. That also, as a taxpayer, concerns me greatly.
Oh, so yeah. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Like, I'm not going to come out and say like I think the moon landing was fake, but I will say there's a possibility, right? There were definitely political reasons for it to be staged in that way. what upsets me is same as you is the simple fact that like we went a bunch of times 60 years ago and then never went back. Like, it's so weird that we stopped. I mean, sure, fine, the financial incentive wasn't there, Soviet Union collapsed, blah blah blah, all that, like the political side of things. But
every trip to the moon happened under the Nixon administration. Every single one.
So it was his fault.
Just throwing that fact out there.
He also took us off the damn gold standard. Come on, Nixon.
Yeah.
And he received a phone call from the Oval Office and talked to somebody on the moon. That was televised. Like, these are facts.
Okay.
Yeah. And you tell me how that was done. That will blow. I don't understand that. Van Allen radiation belt, the phone call, all happening under the Nixon administration, who just happened to resign.
See,
those are facts that that's what keeps me from just believing. You know, like
sure.
I would much rather believe we went to the moon than they lied to us.
Same, yeah.
But those facts they keep.
No, I didn't know that other part.
And we took a Jeep to the moon and drove around.
This is kind of like why I think, well, Elon Musk has evolved into something else, but I think one of the reasons why he became so popular, we'll say like 5 to 10 years ago with SpaceX, was the simple fact that a lot of people like my generation that grew up that weren't around when the moon landing happened. It was just like, oh, okay, well, finally this is going to be somebody who's interested in like doing more with space. And it's like, as much as I'm interested in it, I wanted to see SpaceX actually succeed at whatever he's trying to accomplish.
Yeah. So what's interesting about what you say, Keys, is we just deployed within the last year, right, the James Webb Telescope, and it's sitting at the L2 right now. So, and that is the culmination of about 3,000 years of technology. So I would say, if we're able to do that, would we've been able to land on the moon, get some guys there and head them back, 50, 60 years ago? I would say with some classified technology. I mean, they haven't told us everything, right? So, and again, we would have wanted to keep that technology secret given the kind of world we lived in at the time.
So, okay, question then, because we've talked a lot about the moon. So if I can take this back to the beginning of the conversation.
Yeah.
If we're already having our doubts that we've made it to the moon, or at least sent a man to the moon,
yeah,
how are we getting data back of how long something is vibrating once it lands there?
So supposedly they have seismometers up there, right, that they left on one of the moon trips, and again they used a lunar lander and they just crashed it into the moon, right? But see, again, that's the thing, right? If you believe that, then you have to believe we actually went there, right? So
sure,
kind of things feed on themselves, because if you fake the moon landing, you can fake all kinds of data, right?
Yeah.
Every picture released by NASA is doctored.
Check this
Another
out.
fact.
Heard we went to the moon, but it wasn't the famous ones. I didn't know there's more than one here. The men who went died of radiation poisoning. The astronauts we know were filmed. Yep. Interesting, Charlie.
Yeah, I mean that's a good calculation right there, right? So I mean, there's some things that we have enough knowledge now. So if we wanted to, we know how many rads of radiation the human body can stand before we get radiation poisoning, right? We know the thickness. We can go to the Smithsonian and look at the supposed spacecraft they used. We know how much radiation, basically, I think that's in the public domain, how much radiation is actually out there in space, and we know the speed of the trip, right? So how much radiation would they have absorbed during that time frame, right? Did they have any of the materials that would restrict the amount of cosmic rays that a person would be receiving, right? It's water, it's lead; those are all too heavy to take to the moon, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess here's where I'm really struggling, right? Taking it back to like SpaceX. Why hasn't SpaceX sent anybody to the moon?
Dude, it's far. It is far.
No, I know, but like,
it's far.
Isn't technology like rapidly advanced or exponentially advanced from the 60s to today? Like, I mean, I don't know. It just feels like
We're
it should
still on a
be easier,
combustion
cheaper,
engine.
faster to get to the moon today.
NASA forgot the technology on how they got to the moon. They lost the data. It was overwritten. Okay, so that's why.
Somebody did one of those old
footage.
reformatting of the hard drives.
No, it was on videotapes, and they recorded over it. They said.
Oh no, the
they
moon
recorded
landing.
X files over it. It was before we had. Like, come on, that's ridiculous.
No, the computers that they used, they got rid of by accident, and the video, because they recorded everything, the video was overwritten by something else at some point. So they have almost no evidence or like tangible proof of the technology behind how to get to the moon.
I want to know what's overwritten on those.
A full season of Full House.
Yeah, exactly. See, like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, is it some crap?
No, it was Star
Who's
Trek.
responsible for that?
Star Trek. Yeah.
Oh man.
No, that's ridiculous, dude.
All right.
I'm going to do some research on that because that doesn't make sense. Because we're still sending probes.
Hey, do the research and tell me if I'm wrong, because I would love to know it.
I don't know. We won't know if I'm wrong or you're wrong, right? But here's the thing, right? I mean, we're sending probe. Like the Voyager is still going out of the solar system, right? We're sending probes to Titan and Mars, and they're driving around on mini Jeeps, right?
Yeah,
So-
but now we have we have this AI technology that can generate pictures for us.
Yeah.
Now in public technology, like what has been their technology, like just because they say that there's a probe out there flying around taking pictures, at this point I'm just like, I'm so past the like facts that we have stuff out there taking pictures that I'm just like, these are the same people that have fed us everything else that we're dealing with today. So it's like, and that's always been the biggest thing, is like, why was NASA's biggest thing, like why was the Cold War to beat Russia up into space, and then we literally did nothing with it, like did nothing with NASA. Now NASA's privatized, and that's a great question. NASA, like now we have SpaceX, and what, now we're not doing the moon anymore, like we don't have to anymore, like what's up? And then honestly, there's all these videos now. I don't know if you guys have seen all the videos of like the space stations and all this stuff with the wires, like they're catching people dripping out of green screens and like disappearing, and like objects being there that like shouldn't be, exactly, like, and then like the floating wires, like somebody's grabbing wires and stuff like on their live international station stuff. So like in my mind, I'm like, God, they're just, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
So just from a scientific perspective, right? I would say. Sorry.
I'm glad it was really holding back.
Wait. Bourbon kicking in, boys.
Darkestnyte literally goes, all right, we're doing conspiracy theory show, but from a scientific perspective.
I was going to let it go. I just couldn't hold it all back.
Okay, so
Well, as soon as you let it go,
I want to get back just a second about aliens, because as Rose was
please.
saying that,
Yeah, from a
I was
scientific
thinking-
perspective, of course.
I was like, if there really were aliens, right? Would we even recognize them as even aliens? Like, we're carbon based, right? But what if they're based on ammonia, silicon? Right? Would we even recognize them as alive?
Okay, so let me ask you this then.
Okay.
This is something I can't explain.
Okay.
Crop circles, like the real crop circles,
Pure
ones
hoax.
the ones,
You think it's just hoax?
Pure hoax.
but some of them show up over like in a matter of hours and show up, and they are super complex. They're visible. I don't understand how they can be fake. Some of them are, absolutely.
I think it's pure hoax, man. I think some people are just better at it than others.
Okay.
And again, another distraction, right? It's a super distraction. Oh crap!
It was, but not now. But yet they happen on every continent except Antarctica, of course.
Why not?
So speaking of
Well, that
Antarctica,
is- I mean,
Oh,
that
wait,
is
wait, wait.
actually-
We
chat.
gotta do Antarctica. Gotta do Antarctica.
Somebody in chat did ask about HARP. That was
Oh yeah, let's. Yeah, somebody asked about that. Can you guys go into it? Because I don't even know.
Yeah. So HARP is like the weather control system. Rogue, you probably know more about that, right?
yeah. Well, I don't
Wait,
know
wait,
more
Rogue,
than anybody
aren't
else.
you the
does.
leading expert? Please enlighten
Yes,
me.
Yeah,
please.
yeah.
So
From a scientific perspective.
yeah, from a scientific perspective, basically, I don't know. You can just send electricity into the ground really, really hard, and then poof, tornadoes. But yeah, no. So it sounds like in Antarctica, I guess there's everything. You know, that's like just a big black box of what's really going on in Antarctica. It's basically a place you can't go,
You're
and
not allowed to go. Who's the
but
person that's
everybody
not
is
allowed to go?
there. Everybody is there, and
Yeah.
that's the that should be the first thing that everyone should know is everybody's there. Nobody knows what they're doing there, but they're not fighting a war. So like
Well,
something
we're not allowed to show up and go.
yeah.
It's a scientific research station set
Exactly.
up by the world, some alliance. I don't know.
Right, but
Exactly.
why can't
That has nothing to do with HARP, though. Just to be clear, because After Sound looks confused.
But yeah, sorry,
sorry,
HARP
what was
is
you-
we're all
HARP
over
is
the
supposed
place
to be
now.
like in ancient
Yes.
technology, right? That is kind of
Yeah.
something
Well, HARP
about-
is an actual array of like satellite, I don't know, satellite dishes or whatever they're called,
Mhm.
up in Alaska. And Liberty got off grid's right. It's the High Frequency Active Auroral Research
Great
Program.
comment. We were doing it long before our debate,
back
man.
up
I'll
there?
tell you
Just put
that.
that up for a second. I have to absorb that. Yeah, let's just keep that up there.
So you were saying that our HARP is more satellite oriented than like
Well, it's
In
an
the
array
core?
of satellites. In I think it's Alaska. Like I'm pretty sure it's in Alaska, and it's a large area. It's a research base held by Department of Energy, I think. And I don't know if it's still in use, but it was early 2000s, and it got a lot of attention. It was supposedly it could alter the weather, and you could blast energy into one of the stratospheres a sphere around us, and then that could then generate things on the other side of the earth, which was kind of what Tesla was doing with the Wardenclyffe Tower, and apparently he might have caused the Tungsten event in Russia.
I was just thinking about that, dude.
Which is
I
crazy.
was literally just thinking about that they stole his tech. So like within days of him dying, half of his research was gone, right? And then
Mhm.
and we've been feeding off that research for decades.
So you want to hear something crazy?
Wait, you mean we haven't?
Oh,
You
no,
mean we haven't?
No, this is because
Thank you
this
for
is true.
now we're
us.
getting real.
All right, so from a scientific perspective. So Tesla died, and you're right. It took 3 days for his stuff, because he died staying at a hotel, and his family got his stuff 3 days later. But do you know who came and confiscated and went through everything?
The IA.
It was, the
And FBI.
Alien Affairs. You know who was in charge of that at that time?
Was it
Red
Trump? Yep,
Wait, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah,
John Trump. It's Trump's uncle.
or John Trump. Yeah, was
Trump's
it John
uncle.
or Fred?
John Trump. Okay.
Yeah, his uncle. Maybe it was John. Yeah, I don't know. One of them.
Harvey Trump.
I don't know.
Yes,
But one of them was
Jeffrey
in charge
Trump.
of the. Yeah, I'll tell you
Interesting.
right now.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, his
all right.
uncle. Yeah, was a part of all that as well.
Alien Affairs. Wait, there's an actual.
Because
Thank you.
well, that was because I forget where he was from, but Tesla wasn't like he was considered an alien because he was a foreign resident, like not a space alien, but just
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So he had jurisdiction over what Nikola Tesla was doing because he was not native to the United States.
I think that was.
Got it.
I think that's why. Yes.
Fair enough.
Yeah. It's absolutely crazy. Like the amount of like technology, especially Tesla's technology and all that stuff, That's, you know, how much of that is under wraps and what is that actually being used for. But yeah, I didn't realize HARP. I thought HARP was something that was like a network of things that were like within the subsurface. Like, and that was one of the things they were doing in Antarctica, was firing the same, like a very high frequency type of, you know, energy. And essentially,
It might
you
be.
know, but yeah, it's everything with energy. It's crazy.
Well,
But-
energy rules everything.
Yeah, HARP is weather manipulation, essentially.
Again, if you remember when Nikola Tesla was doing his experiments, we're now, what, 100 years later? We're more than that, right? So what do you think the evolution
Dude,
of
he
technology-
created everything.
everything. So
And
I
you
think it's
wonder,
the-
shortly after he died, I just want to make sure my dates are lining up. Hold on, because this is interesting.
When did he die?
'Cause- So, okay, yeah. So you know how supposedly after the Roswell incident, every you know, all these technological advances happen,
fast, super fast. Yep.
Mhm.
yeah. And so they
Well, just like technology's
rel-
been on an exponential curve the last half century, right?
right. But what's really interesting to me is that happens 4 years after Tesla died. And Tesla invented everything from the electricity, how we get the electricity we use. He invented the radio. You know, Marconi didn't invent the radio. It was Tesla. Tesla invented Wi-Fi. Like
They were
he
in a
invented-
competition at the time for that. Yeah.
yeah. So and then right after he dies, all of a sudden, all these scientific stuff comes pouring out.
Barreling.
So is it aliens or was it just Tesla?
Right. So Tesla had a deal with, I think it was a General Electric, right? No, Westinghouse. It was Westinghouse. To basically produce the electric grid that we had. There was two choices, right? DC or AC. And I think he wanted to do direct current. And I think Edison wanted to do AC. And so there's a big battle there. And really, they just did a hit job on Tesla, and he lost all of his funding, and so Edison actually ended up with it. But they came and grabbed his technology, and now guess what? We use both, right? We use DC and AC.
So going
I
back
think
to
it was the other way around, though.
Yeah, I know it's one. I'm not looking at it now. I'm just going.
Chat Jimmy says AC for
I'm
Tesla.
going by scientific factuality.
Yeah. Tesla was AC though.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, he was AC, so the other guys were DC. So.
Interesting. So you mentioned Roswell because that was the other thing. I think Roswell, the crash was like 1947, or the incident, we'll call it 1947. But yeah, I mean, whether it's Tesla's death or Roswell, like there was just something around that time that seemed to spark technological exponential revolution. Because I mean, like,
this was also during World War II.
I forgot. I'm gonna forget the direct quote and even where I heard it, but it's not me. But it's like if you look at life from like, we'll just say like 1700 to 1800 to 1900, it doesn't look very different. But from 1900 to 2000, it's like worlds apart. Like, you know what I mean? Like we literally live in the future.
You know, it's something funny. I'll tell you a funny story. So years ago, I've been in IT for a long time. And I remember when I first read the manual for Cisco's UCS. It was an integrated technology for server storage. Everything was, and networking all together. And I literally looked at the manual and I said, okay, someone's going to have to answer what spaceship this came out of. Because it was so advanced for the time. And I was like who thought this up? Right? And it was so advanced, and we're still using it now. Like we have different variations of it, right? But it's basically a super technology, right? Yeah. We're talking about making quantum computers now, right? We were writing books by hand 100 years ago, right? And now we're talking about quantum computing.
Well, I mean, in the same respect, though, in perspective, I think, you know, if you were born or you were alive in 1800, like 1802. And you had to go from California to South Carolina, it's going to take you, I don't know how long. I mean, how long did it take?
A year.
Oh, it would take you longer than that. Lois and Clark, I mean, it takes a long time. then, and you could die 1,000 different ways on the journey. By the end of that century, you could do that in 3 days or 4 days on a train. Yeah. So the train wasn't invented till like 1800 something 3, and that from then and the whole steam revolution, the industrial revolution that really kind of kicked off in the late 1800s, like that does. There was a big gap there, and then all of a sudden we start doing other stuff, and it's going to speed up all the way until it ends.
So, Sid Meier's, that was a major technology time. For
Which one?
Sid Meier's says, "Hey, from civilization."
Hello.
Sorry, never mind. Bad joke.
Not for me.
Yeah, not for anybody on this stream.
Are you debunking the whole like there actually was major technological innovation between 1800 and 1900 then?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we did. I mean, if you look at how people lived and like it's communication. Everything's based on communication.
Sure.
So once we hit a level of the telephone and we can actually start communicating, and then we get to computers and we can start communicating faster. The faster we can communicate, the faster our technological branch is going to grow, because you start having meetings and doing things faster. Everything's just going to get faster, and AI is going to take out a lot of the BS in the process along the way now, and so everything's going to move faster. So quantum computing is actually needed to keep up, and that's why we're thinking about it now.
So I'm gonna pull this all the way back, because I know your topic is that you love is the pyramids, and it's a power source. So here's my question for you, dude.
I don't think it was a power source, to be clear. I think it was
what do you think it was, first of all, and then
it was like a transmission tower.
Okay, so transmission of what to what?
Well, I think the only logical conclusion, scientifically speaking, the only thing that makes sense is when you look at the Great Pyramid, the sarcophagus inside of the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid is too large to fit through the door, and it's made of single stone. That stone happens to be the interior of the stone happens to be the exact dimensions to hold the Ark of the Covenant from the Bible.
Okay.
The Ark of the Covenant, I think, powered the station. I think that's where the power came from, and it transmitted from there, and it used things like the aquifer or the water that's trapped under the Giza plateau, and everything was kind of built to harness all of the energy that came out of the Ark, and then used it to create basically Wi-Fi energy for the entire Nile Valley. And I think that technology was also replicated in every continent around the world.
All right,
because
so
I don't think that thing is just lost.
Can I just ask what is the Ark of the Covenant? I mean, I've heard it used so much in pop culture.
Yeah, so
that's Indiana Jones went to go.
I know, but like,
so the Ark of the Covenant was God told I forget exactly who it was, but God told Moses, how to create this thing to hold the 10 commandments that he was going to give him. And he creates it, and it's basically an energy device. Like it has gold, it has like everything about it. And the one in the movie from the Ark of the Raiders of the Lost Ark is true to the description in the Bible. And it seemed to have radiation. People that were around it died. You had to wear a special protective vest that was like a lead vest, and you were around it. People that looked into it died. Like these are all, it was used to decimate armies in the Bible. It had tremendous power and it wasn't just the Ark. When it was taken out of Egypt at one point.
Okay. And
when that happened, after it left Egypt has been on a decline, went on a rapid decline after that. Nothing was built after that. It just went downhill. So it's just the timeline is very concise with the Bible.
So here's my question to you then, Keys. If it's a power source, where are all the devices and items and things that were powered by that power source?
Well, I mean, I don't think they survived. I don't think they survived the flood, man.
But we have
So-
stuff from
Yeah, wouldn't there be like
millions of
debris
years
and all
ago.
that?
Yeah, we have stuff from like clubs and things like that that are still exist, right? So,
Clubs,
oh, I'm saying like stone knives and
like
bear
dance
pins.
clubs and stuff.
Yeah, those two. So
Stones.
anyway.
Yeah,
All right,
we
so-
have all
so-
the evidence that proves that the Egyptians could never have built the pyramids. We have never found any evidence that shows that they could build the pyramids. We've never. There's no any evidence of any hieroglyphics, anything anywhere showing the building of the pyramids. The pyramids were built long before the Egyptians were there. And then the Khufu, that they said it took 20 years to build it, and 2,500 years ago, and Khufu was the guy that did it. Khufu basically just put a sandstone layer or a limestone layer on it to make it shiny. That's all he did. He just made it look shiny. Just put basically the modern equivalent to a fresh coat of paint on it. But yet that even took 20 years.
This is a good follow-up. Where's the Ark now?
I think it's in Ethiopia.
Okay, why Ethiopia?
because they say they have it.
Ethiopia is like one of the oldest Christian areas in the world. They have had Christians there since the beginning of Christianity. Like Christianity, not just,
Not our
but
version.
like Judaism and stuff, Christianity. And so the Ark of the Covenant was, they even say they have a temple there, and they have guys that are blind that are come out of there. If you were one of the guys that's a watcher, you go in there, you protect the Ark, and you die 4 or 5 years later from radiation poisoning. Like, I don't know. I just think it's
also
there.
fascinating to me.
Graham
Okay,
Hancock also thinks it's there, which I like his stuff. He did the research and he knows more than me.
Did you watch his Netflix series?
Yeah,
Was it good?
I do. Yeah, I like it.
Which
I
series?
have it saved on my list. I just haven't gotten around to it. So maybe I'll.
We were actually supposed to go check him out last month.
Yeah,
I
we
want-
were.
I saw him on Rogan like a while back.
Are you
but then
laughing, Rogue?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Uh,
All right, hold up. Let me see here.
I'm finding that name for you. It's like Inconvenient History.
Fat Jimmy, thanks for the info on ACDC virus. Just wait till the next generation has never had readily accessible AI. Yep.
Ancient Apocalypse, Rogue. It's Ancient Apocalypse is the name of it.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
What about this from Stock Jockey? You want to pivot over to JFK?
Yeah,
do it.
oh, that's my favorite. One of them.
So let's.
But
Let's
what
do
do you
that.
think about
I'll make one final note on the
Please.
on the whole God and energy and the ark and stuff. So like when oftentimes when you look at the Bible and you look at the things that God interacted with us with and all of these things, oftentimes they were of the precious metals type, right? And those are some of the best conductors of electricity that we currently know of at this moment, right? And so like when you look at a lot of the history of Christianity, like that focus on gold and silver and these, it makes you think. It makes you go, like
What is that?
how much energy, is in, gold and the ability to, transfer auras and stuff along those lines, So
What
I
does
do-
Asimov say that advanced technology is almost indistinguishable from magic.
Yeah.
Mm.
I
Heard that
do think that ancient civilizations existed, and the flood wiped them all out, and pretty much all the evidence. I do think Atlantis is in Mauritania, Africa. You can see it on the map right now. You go to Google Earth and look for the Eye of the Sahara. It looks like Atlantis was told it was from Plato and Stratos and everything. Like, it looks like the place it's supposed to be. And Egypt was just one of those places that retained some of that technology after it was wiped out. And that's kind of why the early pharaohs had so much power and stuff. I think some of that was left over. And because Egyptian technology regressed, they're one of the only civilizations in all of history where their first dynasties were the ones that built everything, and then they went downhill from there.
Okay, my question is, if there was a flood or some kind of cataclysm, why aren't there any like debris or ruins or stuff like that? Or like when we
They're
dig up
literally all over the world. Like I don't
Yeah.
understand. Like the
Okay, so-
pyramids, the Nepal, what's that thing in the Philippines? Darkestnyte, non-Nagal, like
Darren
there's
Kuyu, right? We
Darren
got Darren
Kuyu.
Kuyu. We got
all these places where you see stone that has been precisely put in place with like precision, laser precision,
Okay.
like all of that stuff. We've never had the technology to do that ever in our existence.
Well, here's the thing, right? If there was a flood, major cataclysm today, don't you think people in 100, 200,000 years would dig up like pieces of cars and radios and airplanes? No.
Cars and
what happened about 12,000 years ago, right? The Younger Dryas, right? They changed from the last ice age to where we are now, right? A lot of that stuff was just scattered away, right? A flood was just, I mean, again, think about a
or
world
it's buried,
right?
it's because right now, especially back then, 90% of population lived on the coast. Like that's just a fact, because that's where fishing and food was.
Yeah.
That's where, so when comets hit the North American ice shelf back at the end of the last ice age and pumped millions of gallons of new water into the oceans almost immediately, all those civilizations were flooded. They were just all flooded. And so if we want to go discover that, we got to dig under there. And we've seen things off the coast of Cuba that look like pyramid complexes and all kinds of stuff. But yet to this day, the oceans are the least discovered or least explored part of our world.
Yeah, no, I've heard that. Damn, all right. I'm supposed to watch the UFC fight tonight, but I'm feeling like I'm gonna need to go
All right,
and
so let's
binge
go
Graham
another-
Hancock.
another 15 minutes. Let's go another 15 minutes. So, but here's the thing, right?
Oh
So-
no, sorry, I wasn't trying to kick you guys off, but I know it's
Yeah.
late on the.
Yeah,
on
so here's the
East
thing,
Coast.
right? I mean, let's think about what the amount of energy a worldwide tsunami would generate, right? Imagine a tidal wave, 2 miles high. Think about the energy that would generate, and it would literally scour the surface of the planet, right? We would be lucky to have any survivors, and anyone that did survive would not be able to keep any records, right?
Mhm.
They would have no technology. They'd start out living in caves. 10,000
Well, the
years.
only people that would survive right now would be hunters and gatherers.
Absolutely.
Like they're the ones, because we don't know how to survive off the land. We go buy our foods at grocery stores. The only people that would survive a cataclysm now at that magnitude would be the people that know how to. It'd be like Liberty Guy off grid and a bunch of Aborigines in the world.
Yep.
That's all it'd be. Just the people that know how to live off the land.
Yep.
But so what technology would pass on from that group? They have none to pass on. So the whole civilization would have to start back from zero. But if a cataclysm like that did happen now, what would be left? You would have some things maybe like the Hoover Dam, or you might have like the Great Wall of China, or massive stone or building structures that could not be destroyed. They're just massive. And that's what's left from that ice, or from that period. Things
With
like
no
the
information associated with it, right? We wouldn't know what they were doing, what they were for.
Yeah, they're just there. And if you were a prior civilization, let's say you bought 300 acres, and you were walking on that land, and you find a massive house on that land, and you're like, that's better than I can build. I'm going to move in that and tell everyone that's my house.
Yep.
You could tell them you built it, nobody would know. Same thing. Over generations, people were believe what they were told.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, this is fascinating. Okay.
Here's one thing that I think's crazy. I think the first king of Atlantis was a guy named Atlas. All right. The last king of Atlantis was a guy named Enoch. Enoch, other than Jesus, was the only other person that ascended to heaven. And he was called to heaven after he lived 365 years on earth. And then shortly after the flood happened. Just interesting little thing.
Enoch.
So you're saying they're the same person?
No, I think Enoch was the last king of Atlantis, and the one in the Bible. There's actually a book of book of Enoch that wasn't, isn't part of the Bible now, but was at one point. He is a very wise, astute person, and he ascended. Now he doesn't talk like he's from Atlantis, but that's what they say. I mean, the Apocrypha, the first 5 books of the Bible, I think are pretty accurate historical documents because they're believed by the faith of Islam. They're believed by Judaism and Christians. They all agree on the first 5 books of the Bible. It's
Old Testament, right?
Disagree on. Yeah, the Old Testament. So I kind of look at that as, okay, this is pretty accepted as the best history we have. And so when you see the Old Testament talk about, there's Nephilim, which are basically demigods living on Earth that are, like all types of beings on Earth and very, the sinful activity. It describes the story of how Atlantis was. And then Atlantis was just a capital of one region. There were supposedly other regions that they did commerce with because they have the biggest city for commerce. So they had to trade with someone. And there's other people out there that, the lost continent of Mu, there's places all over the world that people
Easter Island, no statue survived, right?
Easter Island is in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Unless you lower the sea level like 600 feet, and then it makes sense.
Yep.
You
had no idea what we were getting into tonight, did you?
Dude,
if you look at like
fantastic
melted building theory and all that stuff, like there's a lot of theories on, it's like when we dig into like a mountainside and you find like these buildings essentially that are just kind of carved into the sides, but like were they really carved into the sides, or was like an event kind of fossilized those buildings into whatever? Looking at the giant I know they've recently, one of the ones I've kind of liked looking at is the giant plateaus that we have kind of in North America, like in New Mexico and all that stuff, thinking about those and looking at them more of the perspective of like a dead tree, looking like a tree trunk with roots like completely spread out from it, just lopped right off. And so, there's just a lot of things that I think are here. Back to what you were saying, I think there is evidence of these events that have happened that, have just completely reset, like where we're at. So like the big question is, like, for all of the civilizations before us, like, why did every civilization before us have demigods, gods, active relationships with these elite beings that are essentially helping to cultivate? And why now are we essentially on our own, back to the original? Like, why does it all have to be in the shadows? Like, I highly doubt we're not being intervened with, just like we have been, but like, why isn't it as like upfront and obvious as it seemed to be back in these other civilizations?
I think it's time, right? I think time has gone on, and I think we had rules that we had to follow, like 10 commandments. I think most religions have rules that you have to follow. And if you follow those rules, maybe survival was a lot less doubtful, right? But I think as you get more comfortable, like kids growing up, right? It's like, I don't need to follow the rules anymore, and I get to do whatever I want. But I think the timing of that it's interesting, right? Because again, we see these cyclical things happening to our planet, and maybe this has happened more than just once, right? Maybe the Great Flood happens every 12,000, 15,000, 20,000 years, and we just do this reset over and over and over again. Now, here's the interesting thing. If you are one of the people or a group of people, we haven't talked about the Illuminati, right? So
we're not going to.
We're
not getting into politics.
You don't like to talk about. So
we'll do that after we stop recording.
Yeah. So if there is a group of people that says, oh, this thing happens every 20,000 years. They don't know it because they weren't here for it, but we've been able to retain that knowledge. We know that in the next 150 years, this event is going to happen again. What can you do to prepare for it? Right. So that when it happens again, we can come back down or come from wherever appear like gods, right, and save humanity again.
So are we going back full circle to aliens again? Intervention,
No,
all that?
I do want to say this though. If you were a hunter-gatherer, right, or in a small civilization and there was a major cataclysm, right, and all of a sudden people started showing up, and not a lot, but a few, and they started showing you things like how to build stuff, how to look at the stars, how to read the map, how to make a star map,
Medicine.
how to track your play, medicine, all that stuff. You would look at them as if a god, especially for a stupid civilization. Now, at that time,
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, at that time, according to the Bible, which is, like I said, a historical text I'm referring to here, people lived hundreds of years. Like, that's what they said they lived at that time.
Yeah.
So if that's
Wasn't
the
Noah
case,
like 900 years old or something like that?
yeah, he was an old guy. He worked hard. So if that was the case, how much knowledge, if you came from Atlantis and you were just a guy in Atlantis, but you were still in a very heightened civilization, if you left, imagine Darkestnyte, you going up to hunters and gatherers and spending 400 years with them. How much knowledge could you impart on that community?
Just take a couple of books with you, right? A couple of books.
Or maybe you don't have time to grab them in the flood.
Right.
But I'm saying that I do think people did escape or did survive the cataclysm of the flood. And those people were looked upon as gods in different civilizations. That's why the Greeks have Apollo and Zeus and all these. And I think those were just people from Atlantis.
Even if you just taught them agriculture, right? They're hunter-gatherers, and you teach them, hey, you don't have to go and do that, right? You can just plant this and come back in a couple of weeks, couple of months.
So here's the thing. I mean, I want to agree and believe in all the stuff that you guys are saying, especially like what you were saying, Rogue, about, we used to have all of these different things throughout history, throughout every culture, major religion, of these like demigods or prophets or whatever living among us, and now it's just us on our own. The logical part of me says, what if it's all just stories, right? And I mean, I do believe in a higher being, a higher power, but like, what if it's all just stories? Because here's the crazy thing, right? Like, let's say there's a cataclysm today, and in 300 years or 400 years, 1,000 years, somebody figures out how to get the data off of an Avengers DVD, and they look at that and they'll be like, holy shit, like this was crazy back then. There were aliens that visited, and we fought in a war. You know what I mean? Like, so part of it, like whenever I look back at like religious texts, which again, I'm not saying that to be disrespectful, but part of it's just like, dude, what if somebody was just a really good storyteller, the way that we have really good storytelling now? I
think yes, if it came from a single source.
Sure.
So the Bible specifically is, now there are books of the Bible that supposedly came from a single source, and they're called by that person's name. The book of John or Ezekiel or whatever, Daniel or something like that. But the other books, like the book of Numbers, is literally an entire book of numbers and ages and who's related to who, like all this stuff. It's just a historical perspective that has nobody wrote it. It was kind of organized from many cultures over time. That's why you have, the three major religions in the world right now that agree that text is accurate, or at least they believe it's accurate.
Or they all believe or revere it.
Right. And we all could be wrong 100%.
Well, and realistically, the stories are just what you could accurately describe for that time. You know what I mean? That's the other part, is like today we have an understanding of our world that is different than their understanding. So like if we witnessed the same things that they witnessed, we might have wrote it down different. You know what I mean? And that's honestly, that's how I think about it. Like from all truths and all stories, at the end of the day, I do not believe that a human being has the capacity to think of something entirely unique, period. Everything is pulled from an experience or something that has been introduced to them, and then minor tweaks or adjustments on a truth, on a something, it then carries it through the lineage. Because like honestly, I think about that all the time. It's like vampires. Who came up with like what a vampire is? You know, I've ran that back many times. I'm like, okay, so we've got Dracula. I'm like, how did nobody just like randomly is like, okay, what if a human ate other humans like and sucked their blood? Like there's not just one origin person that was like, bah. There was a time, a city, an event, or something where something like this was documented, and to the best of their ability, like they tried to explain what was happening, you know. And in all creatures and in all like aspects of our life, you know, that's where I look back at everything and I'm like there's a seed of truth somewhere. You can peel it back. It might be this big of a story, and you just have to peel back like a million layers, and you'll find something that is based in fact. You know.
To use your point, and actually use Walkingkeys because he brought it up first. Look at the book of Ezekiel, right? Mm-hmm. The story of Ezekiel's wheel. They thought he was crazy back then, but if anyone reads that, it reads what it says, you would swear that they were describing a spacecraft. Absolutely,
Ezekiel saw the wheel.
Yes.
Way up in the middle of the day.
RFC likes your perspective, bro.
So I mean, it's so.
Well, the first vampires thought to be Lazarus, right?
Or the second iteration of the Matrix, right? So we got selections. We do have our selections. So, hey, so you want to? I think we're at an hour and a half. You want to start to take us home?
You got to go?
No, I mean I know you do.
I mean, I'm just there for the headline fights, but this is way more interesting. I do want to say if we're gonna start, well, even if we're not gonna wrap up, I do want to say though that I'm overwhelmingly not surprised, but just like delighted by the response here. I did not realize that there were this many people as part of the channel or in the sub community that really enjoyed this topic. I mean, we had joked about it for a long time about like doing something like this.
A long time.
But I mean, people are here hanging out with us on a Saturday night, which is awesome. This is just like off the whim, and this conversation has been super fun. So for the folks who have been here, really appreciate you guys, and then obviously for all of you three for taking the time to chat. Everybody's, I mean, look, I'm not going to hold anybody to this, but we've gotten a lot of comments saying that this should be a regular thing. So if you guys are down, we can always do more.
Because here's the thing, right? Whenever we start having these conversations when we're doing the other live stream, we always stop it, right? We always say, let's stay focused on like the other stuff.
Yeah. So somebody asks like, "Hey, what's going on with DEC?" And then we pivot back.
Exactly.
we can never go too far down the rabbit hole. But that's why I specifically said I was just like, no Splinter Lens talk tonight. We're not going to go into any gaming rabbit hole. We're going to give this the respect that it deserves. And I got to say, let me put it this way too. It's not just the folks that are engaged, but everybody's super knowledgeable about this. Like I feel like I'm learning so much from the comments. I'm learning so much from you guys. Yeah. And I know it's all just for fun, but it's I don't know, it makes me want to go watch a hell of a lot of like Graham Hancock right now.
So here's what I'd love to do, right? Because I mean we can prep for another episode if we want to do that. I would love to go rapid fire just around the horn and just name a random conspiracy theory. Just bang bang boom bang boom.
Or just keep going?
Just keep going until we have to stop.
Oh, mine. You said no politics. I feel like
no. Just the name. Politics. Don't give details, right? Just give the name.
Oh gosh,
this is gonna be tough on the spot.
Denver Airport conspiracy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
I only learned about that recently from you, Darkestnyte.
Epstein.
Philadelphia experiment.
Ooh,
that's a good
one. MK Ultra.
Yeah.
Oh.
Die Glocke.
What?
The Germans attempt to create a
time machine,
time travel machine.
Here we go. Yep. Okay, I did know that.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah. So along those lines, Project Paperclip.
Ooh, good one.
I'm gonna go with the Hollow Earth entry in Antarctica.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Loch Ness Monster.
Boom.
Egyptian Labyrinth.
Ooh.
Project Mockingbird.
Oh, it's annoying.
Pyramids in the Grand Canyon.
I feel like we talked about this so much already, but
Say aliens.
yeah, I was gonna say alien moon base. I don't know.
Like, I gotta be specific with aliens. I gotta be real specific on that one.
Real specific.
Yeah.
Roswell.
Okay.
1947 incident.
Paul McCartney being replaced after he died
Ooh,
in
clones.
the Beatles.
Clones.
Yeah, clones.
No,
You
no, no, not a clone. He was like a impressionist.
I mean, I'll go with clones then.
Oh, that's a good one.
I'm gonna go with lunar moon base.
Lunar moon base.
Mhm.
Shit, I'm out. I'm not good at this.
Okay. After that.
I was.
I'm out. All right,
wait,
keep going, Keys.
Oh my gosh, what's the island? Nantucket Island.
Oh. Okay.
Mm.
That's all.
The
New
Great
York.
Wall's not China's.
Ooh. Very nice. I'm gonna go with the Alcubierre Drive has already been created, and we have ships with the Great Space Force.
Space Force.
Space Force.
Chinese pyramids. All the pyramids in China, and there are hundreds.
Antarctica's pyramids.
I love it.
The couple of people that have traveled from the future to now to give us warnings.
Edgar Casey.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's in the chat, and I'm gonna say it. 9/11.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh
Mm.
wow.
That's yeah.
I am
sorry.
not talking about that one.
I know.
I'm gonna tap out. I think I've got it. Yeah, I've tapped out.
Oh, is this that? Like you say that?
Well, no, because I mean, I have all the good stuff has already been taken, right? So
Yeah.
All the good stuff. We haven't even talked about.
Well,
the
what do you
good
got?
I don't think so,
Walkingkeys?
yeah.
Stop thinking, man.
Wow. I mean, oh my gosh.
What's Project Gateway from Mrs. Crypto Panda? You guys aware of that?
Gateway computers are actually IBMs. I'm just kidding. That's not it.
I'm assuming that has to do with Stargates, but I would.
Oh,
I
here's
would have to
another
look it up.
Tartaria. Wait, none of us knew what
Okay,
that
so
was,
what
right?
is the
Tartaria?
Tartaria? We got
Wait, Rogue, do you know?
Tartaria is like a land that
Yeah.
existed, I think, and
Tar-
now it doesn't.
Tartaria was the kingdom that built the Great Wall to keep
Yeah,
out China.
Out China.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
Like if
Okay.
you look at the theory, right? Theory is building 7. That's a good one too. Well, that's all. Anyway, yeah. So if you look at the Great Wall, I guess from the perspective, I haven't like fact checked this because like I haven't been to the Great Wall or anything, but you know somebody would have to go look at it. They say that the way the slope and the archery windows are kind of set up is they would be defending against China, not the other way. Like the way the wall is actually designed,
Yeah, Bill.
it's designed to fight facing China. So
Like the barbed wire at the Denver airport.
So let me jump in on that one. So I've actually run a lot of the Great Wall. So the Great Wall.
Of course you have.
So
scientifically
Of course you
speaking,
So the Great Wall is not one contiguous thing, right?
Okay.
And it's lots of different architectures expanding along. So what they would do, or what they said they did, is they would have families would be responsible for a specific part of the wall, and then they would have to build it, right? So let's say a husband and family were building. Let's say the husband went off to war, and he got killed or whatever. The widows and the family would actually continue to build, and the kids would help build and things like that. In fact, I went to a place called the Widows Tower on the Great Wall, and you could see all the different architecture. But one of the things I noticed significantly were everything was different. Like the wall, the steps were very long, but sometimes they were very short, and it just didn't seem to be any consistent architecture to it. And just the part that I was at in Hubei. So,
All right, so go for it.
Oh, I was going to rattle off some more that I really like.
Go for it.
All right, the oh my gosh, Edward Lee Scoutland's Coral Castle in Florida.
oh yeah,
That is one of my favorite ones. Oh my gosh, yes.
Nikolai
Oh
Tesla.
my God.
Here we go.
Yeah, the Tesla death ray.
Yeah.
I think That's yeah. The not just JFK, but his brother.
The one that's now?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, no, Robert Kennedy, right?
Yeah, Robert. Who? Yeah, his death.
The greatest president who never was.
MLK. I mean, there's so many things that happened in the '60s that are just, and we know about some of them, like the Gulf of Tonkin.
Tupac.
You say Tupac?
Tupac, Biggie.
Tupac's
I'm gonna
alive.
say Biggie. I'm gonna say Biggie.
Tupac's alive.
Question
No,
for you.
he's a hologram. So I saw the hologram.
If you guys
AI
haven't
hologram,
seen that
bro.
Dave Chappelle
Bob
skit,
Lazar,
it was
Art Bell, those are
great.
good.
Yeah.
Mm.
So Fat Jimmy and others are requesting a 9/11 and JFK deep dive.
I'll talk about
Is that-
JFK all day long.
Yeah, I'll talk about
You
JFK
won't
too.
talk
I feel like
about
9/11 is still a
I'm
little
off
spicy.
air. I'm gonna have to figure out why you don't want to talk about the other one.
9/11.
Yeah,
Oh, you're
Yeah.
good with it, Rogue?
I'm.
So we'll save that for next time. We're gonna do
Yeah.
that. We'll do
Is there? No, I know, but I'm just curious. Like, is there? So for you, Keys, is there a stigma around it?
I just don't think it's a good one to talk about.
All right, that's fair. I mean, I'm
Wait,
kind of
is
with
it
you. I'm
dangerous
just trying to
to
figure
talk
out why.
It's
Oh, it'll be put. You'll
still
be put in a
it's
list.
still fresh. It's not
still fresh.
They're all still in
actively
power.
being.
We all lived through it.
No, it's not even more. Like everyone that was involved with JFK is pretty much dead. Everyone is, and so now there's plausible deniability for everyone that's left. That's not the case if something happened in anything recent. That's why I just don't want. It's just
Got it.
because
Yeah,
then you
it's
might be
like-
accusing people that could actually do something to. If it,
It might take.
I've seen like well-produced documentaries and videos on YouTube, so I feel like they would go after those guys first. But
that show.
I'm not worried personally. I just don't. I mean,
yeah, no, that's
it's a
fair.
flip
That's
of
fair.
a switch to turn off a YouTube channel.
Like, no, that's fair. Well, I guess for me, part of it is like I knew people who were obviously victims of that, right? Or at least knew friends of friends, or friends of families. So part of it is like I don't want to be disrespectful to the memory of people who lost real friends and family that day, is I think what the main thing is.
I agree.
and
Now,
iPhone nails it.
one thing that's really interesting about JFK are all the people that became president after him that were tied to that whole thing between Lyndon Johnson, Nixon, Ford. Ford was on the Warren Commission. Like George Bush worked for CIA at the time. So like all these presidents came from that incident.
Mm-hmm.
And Lyndon Johnson was a Republican vice president working for a Democratic president. I'm just saying
But you haven't seen that again.
No,
and
definitely not.
that's the ongoing. Is like since JFK was the last. The theory raised JFK was the last people elected president. Everybody else was just kind of placed. Like we all voted. Like I'm not going to deny that everybody voted, but like in the way that like the carrots dangled. You know what I mean? They were all placed very strategically, and the lineage from JFK has all been in line and timed and planned. And so, like, my understanding of it is Trump was the disruption in that he was not the next to get the baton. Kind of jumped in there. So
you have a choice of this guy or this guy. Vote for one. Doesn't matter which one you pick. We're giving you your choice. You can have.
It was all kind of just set up in the way of there really wasn't that enough of going back to Mockingbird, right? Going back to Mockingbird, the general population only has like so much, like the amount that they're influenced is yet to be known. And I'm not even gonna say this is something that like now that I'm completely aware of it, I study this very regularly of like, is this something that is like, is it pulling on my emotions? Is it trying to drive a response, like an emotion response out of me? Is it, these types of things, because I now understand the mechanism used to drive my decisions. And so, yeah, that's where in my mind, it's like, sure, there was only so much that we could have done. I think, it was just.
Well, Rogue, I mean, that's
Hey,
interesting,
real quick,
right?
Liberty Guy is right. LBJ was not a Republican.
Okay.
No, I made a mistake there.
Oh, well, see, we can take feedback and be corrected.
Fact
So,
check.
Rose, I agree with
Not
you
an expert.
that there is that self-awareness that feels like it's been I won't say bred out of us, but we kind of ignore it, right, in favor of all the other distractions. And it's interesting that you say that you basically do a self-assessment and say, why am I reacting to this piece of information the way that I'm reacting to it? And I can't tell you how many times over the last year or two that I've seen something on YouTube that was fed to me, right? And I had an emotional response to it, and I immediately got pissed off. And I'm like, why do I even care about this?
Yeah.
Right. And that's happened more often than not.
There's many times nowadays where it almost sucks because like I'll give you the most recent incident is whatever that ship was that went down looking for the Titanic and like had the implosion that took the news cycle for 7 days.
Mhm.
Like it absorbed that and social media to the point where everybody and their mothers were talking about it. And when that happens, that's when like everybody like that is like of this space, their red alert should go up and they're like, what's really going on in the world?
What did we
really
just
happening?
What did we just miss? Because
What's happening? Yeah.
What just happened? Because like water cooler talk, they're gearing us towards this, but like realistically, what's going on?
So what do you think happened?
Oh God, there was a list of stuff that happened during those 7 days. There was there was committee hearings. There was, goodness.
I mean, the
I would
whole
have to pull
digital
up an old
currency from the
tweet.
Fed.
Fed now is live. Yeah.
That
Russia,
happened.
Ukraine, right? For me, I focus most of my time on.
That was
Oh,
the
yeah, that's
Russian or the Ukrainian or the Russian coup attempt or whatever during that time.
We have the counteroffensive that's going on right now, right? So that's a big deal. And no one's really talking about that as much, but that's a major thing. And we're shoveling millions and millions. We've done like 46 allocations to them. That's a lot.
What's up, Legendary Canary?
What up?
Joffrey, how's it
Make
going?
some music, man. Let's go.
Yeah, let's
Ooh,
go.
Virus.
Check this out from Virus. The next election will be the last one that isn't dominated by AI.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Specifically, and this is one of those things that like, and maybe you guys, did you guys know, or did you guys read the article the night before the election for Trump and Hillary? The one that came out specifically, it was titled for the undecided voter, or like logic from the undecided voter, and it went line by line and talked about like this president's going to pick the judges, and the judges are going to decide on, you know, gun laws, schools, this, blah blah blah. And it's like it laid a bunch of stuff out, and it was rapid fire all over social media. Everybody and their mothers read that the night before. And when I was standing in the election lines and I was listening to the conversations that were being had, they were just regurgitating this article. And it was just like, and I think that specific article swung the election. In my opinion, I think that night of article that went out was one of the greatest psyops that has ever happened. And that's what I'm curious about when AI goes full swing. When AI goes full swing, how easy is it going to be to create these types of, you know, swing propagandas, you know, that are perfectly curated to swing a vote, you know?
We might have AI candidates and never know, right?
Crap.
I mean, that could be a thing, right? There are AI celebrities now, right? That you don't know that they're not real.
Take it one step further. Imagine getting a call from someone that you trust, coming from that number that's AI, and they give you a conversation telling you why you should vote for someone, you believe them, or you get a message and then it sounds just like them and you believe them, and you go for it. Not even just a presidential election, just any like that's the level of deep fakeness that is possible. So the only way to combat it though is safe words with friends and family that you create, and you have that word, or a series of words, passwords, basically. And that's how every secret organization has survived since whenever.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you have words that only your family knows that you can double check sometimes, like Harry Potter,
So I would say to you,
don't give yours away live on the internet.
no, I would just say to you, hey, how can I tell that so-and-so is not in the room or whatever like that? And you would say what you always say with the different greetings, right? That's how it would do with you. Or same thing with you guys. So you'd have to really know them. And we never really check, right? We just consume the information and then we go on about our business. We don't really doubt what we're hearing is true. So.
I mean, the crazy thing is that like there's a reality in which one of us here could be completely AI generated having this entire conversation.
Dude, you're the one with the lights in the back.
Oh,
so
I know it's me, dude.
think
It's totally
it's
me.
There's
I
not
set this
enough
whole
data
thing
to
up.
fill up all my pixels, so I'm real.
Yes.
It is pretty interesting. I do think that the AI. All right, so let me throw out one. This is a crazy conspiracy theory that someone kind of set me on the other day. What if the strike for the
Hollywood.
I don't know, the Hollywood writer
Yeah.
strike right now, and because basically it comes down to AI rights, and they're giving up their AI rights in perpetuity sometimes for projects and stuff, so they won't be paid on any of that if an AI is used instead of them. And so what if this is setting the stage for a lot of stuff that could come out in the future, and then giving people deniability, saying, oh no, that's a deep fake.
So what are you saying? That their likeness is turned into an AI construct?
No, they're setting the stage of
Setting the stage
AI
for it,
being
yeah.
able to create these actors and actresses on in a visual performance. So then it creates the illusion and the level of, hey, maybe that was fake. I don't see my favorite actor being in that situation. That looks like a fake video.
Ah, gotcha.
A doctored fake, just like in Ready Player One, Darkestnyte.
Yeah, so I think that they already have AI celebrities, right? I mean, they could make a whole brand new set of celebrities that have never been alive. And again, it's not for us, right? We're all older, right? So we like who we like. But the new celebrities coming out now are for our children, right? They may never consume entertainment that's from a real person.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
And if that's the case, you can make them say and do anything you want.
All right, I don't want to get political here, but there's a lot of Trump talk, so I'm just curious. And again, you don't have to say if you're voting for or against him. Just do you think he's going to win in 2024?
No.
Depends on who's running.
No.
Let's see.
And I'll say this again, not getting political, right? But the entire government is ramped up against him right now. I don't think it's
which I feel only emboldens people who support him more. Which is probably a lot of people who are unfortunately like in the conspiracy theory camp, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, so the challenge is maybe a little bit slightly political, right? The challenge, I think, is he's not doing himself any favors, right? So if he could just get through his legal
scientifically speaking,
right? He's not really doing himself any favors, right? He's very vocal, and there's a reason why we have Miranda, right? Anything you can say can and will be used against you.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a thing, right? And the fact that no one's putting a gag order, that should tell you everything you need to know.
Gotcha. To add to the threat of AI, imagine rogue, malicious intel fed. Oh, I thought they were talking about you, Rogue.
I was like, I'm not malicious.
What are you doing?
Oh, wait. You guys want to hear something crazy?
I'm your friendly neighborhood.
This came out yesterday. They are they're adding AI to all those drones in the Ukraine.
Oh my God! What?
Yes.
Dude, this is Skynet, isn't it? Like,
no. Whoa! I got you.
You're literally giving Skynet a gun.
There is a air defense system called Skynet over there.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so it's just
Well, yeah,
totally
we
on
already-
the nose,
yeah.
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah. They're just screwing with us now.
Wait, isn't
Right? So,
Skynet?
but they're adding AI. So the reason why they're adding it is the drones lose connectivity with their controller, right? So they need the drones to be able to continue the kill chain, right? And do things on their own.
And if they're adding it to, if they're adding it there, then
Then why do you even need the person to begin with?
no,
Right?
it's been added. It's been added in other places,
Absolutely.
and it's
Yeah.
been there for years.
Absolutely.
I thought Skynet was what Israel
Yes,
has
that's
for
it.
its.
Yeah, that's
okay.
it. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, Skynet's just from the Terminator series.
Yeah.
Right, but they named their
They named it
Yeah.
after that.
Yeah.
Israel's
Like,
air defense is.
yeah, what are you guys doing here?
Yeah.
Israel's going through some challenges too right now.
They are.
Mhm.
If he loses the primary, it'll be who he backs that will probably win. Will he back anybody if he loses? He doesn't
No, I
seem
don't
like the
think
guy
he'll
who'll
back
back anybody.
I think he'll want the whole
Oh
thing.
yeah,
I think he wants the whole thing to be destroyed.
Wait, you think he'll back somebody, Keys?
heck yeah, dude. You know how much money's involved
Yeah.
in that?
So
Oh.
who do you think he would back?
Well, I mean, we got to
Right.
see who kind of comes
Yeah,
out.
right now I have no idea. It's a mess.
It's
If-
a complete mess.
It probably wouldn't be DeSantis. I don't know. From everything that I'm seeing right now, I don't know what happened. Like before the primary election, like DeSantis seemed to be like everybody kind of seemed to be aligned, but then DeSantis seems to be like really trying to separate himself from Trump,
Yeah.
and that's weird. Honestly,
Well,
I
it's
just-
not.
no.
It's not weird for a primary, right? Because
Right. You
at the end
have
of the
to.
day, they're gonna have to be adversaries first.
Yeah, not in the way that and I guess that's where it's like taking the. I feel like after 2016, 2020, like the whole veil of traditional like political discourse is gone. I feel like everybody kind of is a little bit heightened to just the BS, and so like I would have almost totally expected for DeSantis and Trump to just be real straightforward with each other and like not to have any of the weird like shade going on and so all of a sudden it's shade and name calling again, and I'm like man, like F that.
It's like 2016 all over again.
Yup. So, all right. So it sounds like we're moved off of conspiracy theories now.
Yeah.
The
a little
Iron,
bit.
oh, you right. it
So
was the
let
Iron
me let me
Dome.
ask
What's the
you
Iron
this
Dome?
though. Not
Israel's the
Israel's
Iron.
Iron Dome. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, virus.
Uh,
He should be in my spot.
Yeah, get in here, man.
Dude, Virus, do you
Um,
want to jump on? I mean, you're more than welcome to.
So we did mention two conspiracies: JFK, RFK, right?
hmm
Hmm.
Another Kennedy is running for president and actually has a legitimate chance to, do well in his primary.
Yep.
All right. See, I was trying not to get political, but I gotta say that a lot of the stuff that I've been seeing, watching, reading, hearing from RFK Jr. has been really impressive. And my kind of on ramp onto him was his Bitcoin stance, right, and how he's been talking about that. But I find a lot of the other things that he goes into very interesting too.
He is a
My
unique
on-ramp.
stance on vaccines too.
Yeah, that was my on ramp for him. He was very active during COVID, kind of calling out a lot of the BS, and so like that seems to be like that was the kind of where I got introduced to him, and so like him just kind of transitioning into this political role, kind of on that same platform of like this is the BS we just went through, like let's just this is the facts, these are the reports, like stop. And I think he's doing well on that so far.
Yeah. I'll say I'd love to see him get a proper stage. The only thing is I know we're getting too political, but I just really don't like the way that left liberal media is treating him. I feel like
Or are they
painting
not
him
treating
very
him good?
unfairly. Yeah, well,
Well, that helps him right now, to be
Yeah.
honest. There
It-
are more
it does,
independents,
yeah.
I think, this year than any other year in recent years.
Well, and realistically, I think there's a lot of people. I don't know. Like, there's Trump supporters. I don't think I think there's a lot of parallel lines with RFK that would like I wouldn't mind putting somebody like him in right now. I'd have to really dive into where he stands on some other stuff, but so far, I mean, just anybody that's calling out what we just dealt with
Yeah.
and what happened in the last 3 years, I'm fine with that.
And I don't know anything about him at all. I'll be honest, right? So I need to maybe dig into it.
He's a freaking interesting guy, man.
He's
He
good.
is.
You have to get past his speech.
He had a
that's-
he explained he had a neurological disorder that he's recovering from, so his voice is like really hoarse. But
Yeah, he sounds like he's been smoking for like 150 years. And
But
it's,
dude,
I like
The-
Dr. Shiva.
well, is Dr. Shiva running too, or
And,
is he like? Why do you bring him up? Is he going
It was in the
political
chat.
at all? Oh, it was in the. Oh, is he? Oh, okay.
Ayadore.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how you say his last name.
Yeah, Dr. Shiva
Dr.
was
Shiva.
really big during
He's
the
interesting.
during COVID. You know.
It's going to be interesting how it pulls out, but I definitely think that several Democrats, I mean, not just, Kennedy, if they don't get the nomination, then they could run independent as an independent. Whoever has the most pull could run independent.
yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like it's just if he's treated unfairly or not given a shot, which Virus was just saying here, right? Like they don't want him to debate. They're not, even though he's polling at 20%.
Info Guides is out.
All right.
No, we're talking politics.
Oh, all right. See you later, info guys. Well, we're probably gonna wrap up here soon.
So I will say this: we were talking about the Skynet. It's actually Skynex. It's a network.
Skynex.
Yeah, and it's a networked air defense. Now add some AI to that.
Yeah, Skynet was something to go after Al Qaeda and terrorists, and could potentially be used in other settings now.
So I have a new, not a conspiracy theory, but a theory in general. Anyone here for simulation theory?
That we live in a simulation.
That we live in a
Yeah.
simulation?
Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and wrap up on this one because I know
Yeah.
we're creeping up on 2 hours here, and
Yeah, my
It's late
wife's
for you
gonna be
guys.
mad at me.
yeah.
Yeah.
So give us your thoughts, and we can go around the horn. Darkestnyte.
No way to know, right? I mean, I'm sure there's some people could give you a logical argument or philosophical argument
Mhm.
about why. But I do think it's interesting that we as humans are preoccupied with making simulated worlds.
Yeah.
We do it a lot, right?
100%.
It's a thing that we do just extensively. So
I'm a big fan of the theory. I'm not saying that I believe it, but what's exciting to me is the simple fact that if we're able to replicate it, like if we can build a consciousness inside a hard drive and then watch it progress through a simulated world in life, at that moment, the moment that we're able to do that, which we're already kind of doing in like video games, right? There's with their NPCs, but the moment we're able to do that, like with a fully, general AGI or something like that, it's like boom. Okay, well, if it's happened here, it can definitely happen a level up, which means we do live in a simulation.
yeah. Okay.
Keys, any thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think we're in a simulation. I don't think there's any. If
Any
we
proof?
created this as our simulation, we're freaking idiots.
Well,
This doesn't make sense to me. Like, why would we do this?
No, dude,
Well, yeah, let's-
we're some kid's science experiment, man. Like at
To
the
love,
end of the
bro.
next like 40 million years, we're gonna get tossed in the trash as he graduates and goes to second grade.
Well,
or maybe we're already sitting on the shelf.
Yeah, we're already sitting on the shelf.
Forgot.
Just
Just
playing out.
forgot
Oh yeah,
about
yeah.
us.
Oh, I mean, the experiment was probably like sending us all those signs and prophets and religions and stuff like
No,
that.
this
right?
is hilarious. This is like why every 2,000 years we get erased again. He just like is cleaning off his shelf and he's just like, oh god, they're at it again. Shakes the
It's like,
petri dish.
we're like some digital ant farm. Yeah.
It's like, no, god.
We're like, hey, what was that?
well, that wouldn't be a simulation. Then that would be a snow
You're
globe.
right.
Yeah, that would be a zoo theory. That's zoo theory. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so,
so
yeah. I
don't
just
know.
I don't think it's possible. But yeah, go ahead, dude. I want to hear your thoughts.
I mean, for me, so I'm still in all my conspiracies. I'm still very grounded in God, in Jesus, and the Creator. That's
Mhm.
that's where all my faith and my existence is. And so, like all of my conspiracies, they don't interfere with that. For me, so for me, like the simulation theory would just be a way that, like, if I had to explain why I'm here on Earth to experience, why did God put me here? Why am I in this space? Oftentimes when I've tried to kind of explain God in my mind, that's when I start to get to like multi-dimensional beings and stuff along those lines. Like if my existence here with my whatever minimal percent of the brain that I'm equipped with, clearly hampered, like intentionally by design, like to experience something, to learn something, to be here than before, the next step, when I'm reunited with my creator. Yeah, you could absolutely call that a simulation. Like I'm put into this thing. I was brought here for a reason, placed intentionally to learn and interact and to be. And so, yeah, you could call it a simulation. It's all just.
So to you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't
matter. You believe in a soul,
irrelevant.
right? Which kind of be your divine software code being uploaded into your human body.
Yeah, intentionally. And that's where, so like at the end of the day, like that's where it's like oftentimes people, they talk about like, if we were created from the very beginning, and it's like, well, yeah, but, I believe in, an omnipresent, everything, omnibenevolent God. And so like, even if he just created the Big Bang and set everything into motion, I'm still part of the plan. I was still always a part of the plan. I was thought about from the very beginning. The whole equation's been wrote out, from alpha to omega. It's all been, there. And so that's where in my, that's where for me, it's like simulation wise, sure. We're all, we're all here. We're all here to experience something. And, like, so sure, it could be a simulation.
I'm right there with you, Rogue.
Appreciate you, man.
Was that my $10?
That is your $10. whatever YouTube thing on the back end, I'll take you guys out for McChickens.
Yep. Hey, are we streaming tomorrow morning?
I'm in if you are.
Yep.
I'll be up late tonight watching the fights, but after that, I'm good.
I'm gonna watch.
Sorry. I will be streaming because I want to do the tournaments. I like doing those every Sunday. So everybody's welcome to join if you guys want to come through. But
Rogue, I appreciate what you said, man, because I have very similar. That's why I like the alien stuff. I just think of it analytically, and I'm not really worried either way, just because.
Yeah.
I don't know. And but the ancient history, the lens that I use to look through, I need biblical evidence that there was ancient history, and it's there in my eyes. So
yeah,
it's the same. I use the same lens, man.
Yeah, and that's what it's cool when there's nothing that I've looked into that has shaken my faith, and it's actually just kind of grown it more, because like I do believe in multiple gods, absolutely 100% they existed, right? But they're all little g. There's still the one big G, right? And there's still the creator. And when we can look at the way everything was set in motion for us, and then like on Jesus's arrival, and then like there would be nothing after Jesus. That's like back when I was originally talking about like, why do we not have any of the interventions anymore? Why is nobody here anymore? Like why is this our existence? Why is this our simulation without walking hand in hand with anybody that is kind of like doing anything? That's where it's I just think about it all, and it's none of it really contradicts like everything that I've learned in my faith. And so that's the cool part, is there can be aliens and my God. There can be many ancient civilizations that have all perished, and my God, it's a great place to be, and it's a great place to reground, because once you do start going down these rabbit holes, and like your whole world gets shaken, and like everything, like you feel like you've been lied to, and some stuff's been hidden, and blah blah blah. You got to have something to reground yourself on. Yeah, and for me, it's God. I was created. I'm loved, and all of this is okay. I'm still good.
Amen.
Man. Respect.
And speaking of that, the
politics and religion. Got you guys.
I know. Now we're canceled. That's for sure.
The Matrix trilogy is written in parallels to the story of Jesus.
Jesus,
like
yeah.
Neo is and not, I mean, Morpheus is Moses and like all this stuff.
Fascinating, guys. This was super fun. Let's go ahead and end it here. Make sure you stick around. We can chat after we end the broadcast just real quick. But thank you to everybody who stuck around. This is 2 hours of just absolute fascination and insanity and hilarity. So really appreciate you guys.
Not financial advice or spiritual advice.
Not
no
financial, not religious, not political advice. We're just having fun.
But scientific, it came from a scientific
Only
perspective.
It's all scientifically backed.
Scientifically backed. If you have any questions about the science, feel free to DM Darkestnyte. He will get you covered on all of that. But I guess we'll be live here.
Questioning the science, though. Don't question.
We're gonna science the shit out of it.
Science the shit out of it. All right. Well, I guess we'll be live in like 12 hours or so. So come through. I'll set up some tournaments for tomorrow, and we'll have a good time. But have a fantastic rest of your weekend, no matter where part of the world you're in. And we'll see y'all soon. Peace.
Bye, guys.